Hey everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge Podcast. My name's Josh. Happy Friday. So glad you're here. Well, today we're talking about CamandFam. She released a video yesterday. It was really good. And people have been sending a message and wanting me to talk about it. I posted, actually I haven't watched a lot of it, just watched the beginning of it, and I just wanted to wait because I'm a blind commentary reactor and I knew I wanted to do it. And I've done a video on CamandFam before. She's actually quite smart and has a lot of insight into this world, which is very valuable because a lot of them won't tell you how the sausage is made. So I love watching her videos. She's really smart, and so we're gonna do that. But before we get to that, we obviously spin the wheel every Friday. Now, if you are a member or a Patreon, which you can select down in my little link below there, and you are above the first tier, you get to get on every single week, and we spin that wheel. And then at the end of the month, every single member from Patreon and YouTube both get on the wheel, and you have a chance to win a prize. And the prizes are dope. Handmade prizes, by the way. So let's dance and someone will win some shit.
Yeah, baby.
Here we go. Madison Silva. You've won a prize. Reach out to Josh at thedadchallengepodcast.com. Leave shirt size and your address, and I'm going to hook you up. Let's go. Okay, so CamandFam, you don't know a lot about her. I don't know a ton about CamandFam. I do know that she was a prominent family vlogger, made a lot of money on YouTube, but decided that she didn't want to exploit her children anymore. She's had some tragedies in her life, especially with her husband and everything that went down, and, you know, has not had the best life. And even in her last video kind of admitted, like, this is how I make money, and it's going to be really hard to overcome this. I love her brutal honesty and actually just the way that she thinks. She's really smart. She doesn't need to be family vlogging. She could probably go do anything. And so I like her. I like her honesty, and I like the fact that she's willing to spill what she calls here the tea, the teen mom vlogger phenomenon. So let's get to this video and let's break it down and watch it with Cam. And supporter of Cam, so make sure you go subscribe to Cam. A lot of the people that I blind react commentary don't subscribe to them, but Cam, go subscribe. Go watch this video. Watch it here, but watch it there too. Give her the view.
Welcome back, Camily. Today I want to do a deep dive into the
Wearing guitar picks.
phenomenon.
Little light snark, okay? I'm not making fun of her. I'm just saying, guitar picks. I'd wear these shits out, right? Who wouldn't? You guitar pick, you're like, dilly-lee. Because maybe gonna be the one. Just kidding.
Of teen mom vloggers. From 2015 to 2020, there was a boom of teen mothers taking up space on this platform.
That one had a weird shaped head.
And without a doubt had an impact on the way the younger generation views teen motherhood. Mm-hmm. The intention of this video is not to stir up drama, but rather to take a closer look at what was really going on.
But you know this shit's gonna start drama. Like the other women who did, Kira and Jess Fem, all these teen mom phenomenon things, they're all about the drama. You're not gonna be able to do a video like this where you spill the tea or tell these people how the sausage is made or behind the scenes without them being like, excuse me. I hope she does though. I hope she's unapologetically tells everybody the dirty secrets about what goes on.
All the drama that I'm going to talk about is water under the bridge now. I know I personally have grown a lot since this all went down, and I think all of the other mothers have too, and I don't hold anything against these people personally.
I do. If you still exploit your kids on the internet, I do. I hold things against you.
In 2009, MTV debuted the first episode of 16 and Pregnant. It got a lot of traction right away, completely blew up, and prompted the following series, Teen Mom and Teen Mom 2.
Which is a stain on humans as a society. That shit should have never been created. All the shit that you see on TV where children are being exploited or teenagers, none of that shit should have been acceptable. Like, you got Big Brother, you got Survivor, all that shit's awesome. Okay, but this shit should have never been allowed. Toddlers in tiaras, dance moms. Have you seen some of that tripe? Okay, that shit should land people in prison for what they did.
Eventually, teen mothers were scouted out by these producers. They filmed a few segments during their pregnancy, the birth, and some of the aftermath. The drama with the baby daddies, the dynamic with the parents, losing friends, trying to keep friendships. All of the drama was really at the center of this show.
Yeah, it wasn't about celebrating motherhood or anything. It was about the drama of being a teen pregnant mom. And let's be real. And I think even the teen moms would agree with me who are teen moms and have grown up. Y'all weren't ready to be moms. You're too immature. And if you're making choices like going to have unprotected sex, you make bad choices. There's a kid that comes into this world like this, and I'm pretty sure all these people that were on these shows, almost all of them turned out shitty. I mean, there's probably a couple that turned out pretty normal and had a pretty normal life, right? But that's not the rule. That's the exception. The rule is people like, what's her face? It got all the face, they got her shit done. She did porn. And then her daughter is getting like tattoos and getting like all these surgeries done. That's the reality. If you're going to be on reality television, don't ever want that for your children.
And the producers really fueled that fire. These moms were under public scrutiny. Everybody was talking about it. They're very well known. And even to this day, as they're in their 30s and have older children, they're still under the public eye. Some of them even coming out to spill just how much the producers caused that extra drama.
Maybe I need to do a little bit of a mini series on this show, the teen pregnancy shows. And if they've got videos like that, somebody send them to me. I'll break that shit down, expose these mofos for what they did.
Just for the sake of views. Most of the time being completely against their will, they're under contract, they need to film, and the general consensus is that the producers very much exploited these young mothers.
Hell yeah, they did.
As for teen mom YouTubers, it's very different. They get full say on what goes on the internet, what people know about them, yet a lot of them still exploited the drama in their lives for the same reason.
Money.
Views. The beginning of teen moms on YouTube started with the Teen Mom story times. This often entailed a newly pregnant teenager sitting down, talking to the webcam on their computer, and telling the story of how they found out they were pregnant. A lot of these videos
I went to a party and I totally had unprotected sex and now I'm pregnant. How did that happen?
would go viral, get a ton of views, and you'd never really hear from them again. Nothing would really come of it. Maybe they'd make a few follow-up videos, but the production quality wasn't really there, and the views weren't coming in. Not until the OG first generation of teen mom vloggers. We're talking Jillian Mercado, OK Baby, KK and Baby J, Jess Fam. And they were just filming their daily lives. This style of family vlogging was nothing new at the time.
Look at Shaytard. I hate that guy. That guy is a grade A douche twat.
But after having watched Teen Mom on MTV and seen the storytime videos, people were really curious what the day-to-day was. So what it was really like. And thus far, this was the most authentic look into teen parenthood. There were certain points where the audience were confronted with just how naive and young these parents were. But because they shared so much of their lives, down to the mundane chores and diaper changes, it felt...
Bath time, yeah. I hope she touches on the idea that predators are watching this shit. And that's what boosted their algorithm.
Felt like you were figuring it out with them. It felt like you were a part of the family. A lot of these vloggers were very consistent, posting multiple times a week, if not daily. And they really made you feel like you were a part of their lives. And something about that level of intimacy drives people in.
Predators and parasocial relationships. And again, we look at this as a phenomenon now that we see it, and we look at it and we should all be looking at it like, oh my God, this was not right. That's what we should be seeing it. Like, as hindsight is for things like, the Nazis and all the shit and the atrocities from our past and all the things that we used to think were normal are not normal. And we look back, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe we thought that was normal. They used to poke someone through their eye and tap into their brain to try to fix them. You know that, right? These doctors used to prescribe cigarettes to pregnant ladies and cocaine for headaches. Okay, there's a lot of shit we used to do and we're like, oh my God, our parents used to beat us with belts and weapons. And that was normal. They would smoke into our lungs in the house. They used to be able to smoke on airplanes. That all the shit that we can see now, like, cannot believe we allowed us to do that, or like make food like that. And there was like cancerous agents in paint, and there's homes that are built on, there are literally homes that are built right now that if you tore them down, you would get cancer. That's the shit inside the shit in the house. Okay? That is what we have hindsight here to see this, and that people would share their lives for millions of dollars and not even realize that it was wrong.
These channels eventually aged out of being teen parents, and that was no longer the main draw of their channel. They continued making content though, a lot of them targeting an older audience as they had grew up. In 2018, we saw a new generation of teen moms gaining some traction, myself being one of them. I posted a day in the life of a pregnant teenager, and that was my big break, so to speak. That video didn't blow up, however, until after I had my baby, and from there it just snowballed. These younger moms were following the path that the older generation had paved for them. A lot of them posting vlogs as well as routine videos.
And the scariest part about this is that influencers influence people. They're called influencers for a reason. Like it or not, I influence people, influencers influence people. Like I know the term influencer is kind of like, but it is what they do, right? And so people like CamandFam were influenced by MTV 16 and Pregnant and did that and then started their own thing. How many of these people do you think honestly got pregnant to get famous on the internet? I'm not saying they all did, but it's a question we're allowed to ask. That some of them probably did. CamandFam we know did, for sure. We have receipts of it. And so that's really, really dangerous. And that's really bad. That we have people on the internet just willy-nilly able to say whatever they want. We know that influencer culture works. And do you know how we know it works? Because it's worth billions and billions of dollars. Do you think people spending money on, do you think companies that get these people to advertise for them are just doing it out of the goodness of their heart? No, they know the power of influence. So when an influencer says, buy this food box or buy these diapers or whatever, people will buy those things. It works. It really does. And so they're peddling. And so what they do is they build this platform. And so that's all the proof that you need that what they do and say and all these things matters, that people will follow. And we're allowing just people willy-nilly. And that is actually happening right now in full-blown view with the transgender topic on TikTok and everything else. And I'm sorry if you don't believe that. Do a little bit more research. It is a social contagion that has taken over our children and our teenagers. Kids are, and mental illness in general, not just transgenderism. People openly being celebrated on TikTok for having multiple personalities and showing them. People openly celebrated for being the grossest people in the world on the internet. And are just parents like, yeah, drinking in front of their kids, acting the fool, being complete and utter a-holes all the time, and just comment after comment about how awesome it is. And so when a young, naive person watching that sees the comments and says, I want that. And that is a problem, everybody. That is terrible. And some of the worst among us are the most famous. Kardashians, for example. Okay? The only reason the Kardashians are famous is because of literally a sex tape that the mom released, allegedly. Okay? That is what she became famous for. They have no discernible skills whatsoever. That is the culture that they created. It kind of started there and just snowballed. Most of the people I talk about on here are the trashiest, most garbage humans ever. And they just get celebrated and they win every time because they attract trash. Everybody needs their tribe, right? And that's what she's saying here.
Come with me and my newborn as we do our nightly routine. Also, I'm 16 years old, by the way. We banked on clickbait titles emphasizing our age. After my video blew up, I became very strategic about what I filmed and posted. I wouldn't film a video without having a solid concept for it. I had to go into it knowing what the thumbnail and title was going to be, rather than just filming my life and seeing what would stick.
She's admitting here that everything that she did was for content to make money. They're not actually making real life decisions unless that real life decision, any real life decision that they are making, the first thing they have to consider is, how is this going to go on the internet? How much money can I make on this? Who's going to watch it? How do I go viral? Everything they do is that. That is rough.
I started to befriend other teen moms on YouTube at the time. The nature of YouTube back then was very reliant on collaborations. It was a win-win for everyone. The first person I ever met through YouTube was teen mom Allie Brooke. We met in person, filmed
Holy shit, 12 or something.
some videos together, and hit it off. I was ultimately a part of 3 separate friend groups of Teen Mom YouTubers over the years. The first one formed when I was added to
R.I.P.
a group chat with around
I don't know. I don't get a good feeling from him. Yeah, I kind of just pissed now. Just filmed the most boring ass video. I hate it. But it's a sponsorship and they need it by tomorrow, so I can't go back. I already signed a contract. Link, please. What's it about? It's a clean with me. A lot of people are doing it, so maybe someone will enjoy it. What's the product? See, this shit's interesting to me. We get this. You don't get to see this, guys, and that's really important. That if everybody actually saw how an influencer did their shit day to day, none of you would watch them. If you actually knew who they were in real life, you'd hate them. Okay? If there was a camera behind the scenes of exactly how they did everything, you would find them so obnoxiously disgusting, you would not watch them. Okay? That is the nature of it. That is how that works.
10 other moms, including Allie. What you have to understand is we were all teenage girls. So obviously, there was drama. Within a month, there was a big fight between all of us. Subtweets were being made, quotes posted on Instagram stories directed at one another.
And people love it.
Me and Alex from the channel Dear Grayson were very publicly beefing with one another. At the time, I was convinced that they were all just jealous because my channel had gotten bigger than theirs.
I know I hate that phrase. You're just jealous. I hate that. I do hate that. But there is a reality to that. There is a competition between some YouTubers. But there are people, and I know specifically when it comes to Doherty Dozen. And I mean, there are multiple channels that she went after because she wanted to be the number one. Right? And then when she became the number one, she became so cocky. She's super competitive. And she still to this day writes little comments about how she's the best. Right? There is massive competitiveness in this. But it doesn't bother me. I like when people succeed. Especially if they're my friends. That's a really good thing. And you should love that for people. But yeah, they're teenagers.
In months of my channel starting, I had gained over 100,000 subscribers, being one of the first in my generation to break that threshold. Wow. Out of nowhere, Maddie Lambert breaks onto the scene, being the youngest of anyone that has ever come before her.
I'm just imagining these chats like, yeah, see this new girl named Maddie Lambert? Oh my God, like look at her braces. Like I can imagine that's what it's like. That's crazy.
Getting pregnant at just 13, and her channel,
that's so sad,
absolutely blew up overnight. We met up in person. Our baby,
I've snarked on a couple of her videos. Maddie Lambert has no business being an influencer. Okay, she needs to go turn 25, go live a life outside of the internet, grow up, then maybe come back.
These were super close in age, and we kind of became this dynamic duo. With us both making the best numbers at the time, we were kind of the it girls. As cringy as that is to say now, that is what I thought of us back then. At this point, my ego was getting kind of big.
And this is why I love Cam. She is going to be so honest right here. And this is why you never see influencers do what she's about to do. Okay? This girl's wise beyond her years just by what she just said there. So I don't want you to miss that. I was getting too big for my britches.
I started scouting out teen moms that I thought had viral potential. I felt like I was doing these girls a favor by helping them rise to fame with me. I kind of saw myself as a messiah. I never thought of myself as better than anyone because of my numbers, but I definitely saw the power that I held being able to collaborate with a smaller channel and seeing just how much their channel would grow.
It's a very big deal to do collaboration. I mean, it's not huge. Not really. Like if I did a massive collaboration with somebody, I might see a spike of like 500. It doesn't do what you think it does. But yeah, you have power when you do this, and they all did this. I love that she's saying this.
Did genuinely like the girls I was collaborating with, and I saw them as friends, but the role that YouTube fame played in our friendship was undeniable. In my core group of mom friends was Zoe, Allie, and Yasmin. We all got along and had a genuine friendship at the heart of it. I got married, they were my bridesmaids, they helped me pick out my wedding dress. It became
someone had Fritos.
Way more than a YouTube collab. Me, Allie, and Zoe went to Playlist Live together, and that was really our first dose of feeling relevant and meeting tons of subscribers all at once. The three of us ran into Maddie Lambert at Playlist, and she had formed her own little teen mom group. They were in a group of 3, we were in a group of 3. It was kind of like that Spider-Man meme, and it was very awkward for some reason.
Because none of you have brain cells. all of you, this whole room is just full of narcissistic people who all they care about is views and everything else. And Cam was part of that. She's grown up since, and that's great. I love that. Everybody eventually does grow up and grows out of this shit. That's true unless you're Just Fam, okay? But most people will grow up and grow out of this shit. So it'll be interesting to see how these people grow up and grow out of this shit too. But she's being super honest. It is a competitive thing. They want to be the best. Look at all the cameras on the desk. Imagine your whole life just walking around with a DSLR.
By the end of the event, there was an unspoken beef between the two groups. But eventually we were all able to talk, and it seems like we both just thought the other group didn't like us.
You probably didn't.
So we joined forces. The Teen Mom vlogger scene was growing, and another mass group chat was born.
Everyone texts their name. I think I'm the only one with everyone's contact, so I'm such a mom. This is Allie. Zoe, this is Maddie at Loyal.
Including my friend group, the other group from Playlist, as well as a few other girls. The vibes over text were great, and we made plans to go to VidCon together and rent out a mansion on Airbnb.
I was going to considering going to VidCon this year just because it's good for YouTubers anyway. But man, one day I'm going to go to one of these big YouTuber conferences, and I'm just going to make these people things. I hope I see family vloggers. Now I won't approach them because I'm not that kind of guy. But I'm going to look at them across the room and be like, "Sup?" You know, I'm going to wear like a shirt with Just Fam's face on or some shit. You know, I'm doing it. But one day I want to go to one of these events just to document what it's like. Because I have 100 and almost 80,000 subscribers. I'm not a tiny. I'm basically a tiny channel as it comes to like big channels. But I think I have enough subscribers that going to one of these events would be really, really important for me to grow my channel, to understand how it all works. I'd love to, right? It's just, I feel like I'm going to be around a lot of narcissists and it just wouldn't be as fun. I'd have to take some friends. But if you guys ever hear these things, let me know. I want to go to all of them eventually.
We even made a promotional video about it to hype up our audiences. Come see all your favorite teen moms at VidCon, babies included.
Babies included.
Trip comes around, and right off the bat, the second we touch down in California, everything is chaos.
Okay. Now, Abby Herbert, a lot of people have been asking me a couple of the Herberts. So Abby Herbert is another one that I've been following on Instagram for a little while. Same type of thing, right? They just make jokes, make funny videos. They're actually kind of great creators. They're really, really talented at what they do, except they also exploit their children, which they don't have to do. What really, really bugs me is all these people with massive followings who don't need to exploit kids still do it, even though they know it's probably one of the most dangerous worlds for children. They know it. They know it more than most people know it. And so Abby Herbert did the same thing. So they make jokes about her husband being short. That's their whole effing shtick. It's it. But Abby Herbert's been in front of magazines and does everything. But she just released this. I think I have it here. Do I have it? I lost it. Anyway, Abby Herbert put a thing out that said, "Come to VidCon, you get to meet the kids." And it's like, here's the ticket. Here's the link for the ticket. So basically selling tickets to come see you and your children. And I'm sorry, but that is one of the most disgusting things you do. You meet and greets with children, with strangers on the internet. You deserve to have your parental rights taken away. I'm sorry. And lots of people do it. Remember Nia meeting people at Disney and all that stuff? Don't do that. Do not let strangers meet your children. Fathering autism with Abigail, who hates being in crowds and everything else, took her around to Dunkin' Donuts to meet fans everywhere. Thousands of people shaking hands, hugging her, trying to get something from her. You can't do that shit. These kids deserve a better life than that. Don't do this.
So many clashing personalities, people fighting about who's sleeping where, and within 24 hours, the group had split in two. It was very divided. Feelings were hurt. Maddie Lambert's mom was one of the only real adults
Oh, that's douchebag there. What's her face?
There, and she was fighting for her life to keep the peace. And despite so much going wrong, there was so many videos filmed on that trip. We all got content for our channels. We filmed several sit-down videos in big groups.
There's Van Clan. Wow. It's funny to see now that we can see the Van Clan. Now they're literally just doing porn. They switched to doing hardcore porn. That's what they lost all their ability to do. The guy makes a video and an Instagram post being arrested. He was going to kill himself. And then now they pivot to making porn. Every single one of these people are so chronically online, they need so badly to be famous that they will do anything to do that. And if you look at someone like Van Clan, what they did was have babies because that was the thing to do. And then when that shit doesn't work out for them, they pivot to porn. None of them make good choices. Those are all bad choices in a line of choices that lead up to more bad choices. See, that's what most of these people are destined for, and that breaks my dad heart. Okay? Any parent in the world who is a good parent who loves their children, okay? I know this might get some of you angry. Because I know a lot of you guys are sex work positive people. I'm not. Okay? Nobody wants that for their children. Okay? Nobody wants your child to be like, I mean, some people might say as long as they're happy, and okay, that's fine. You can say that, but at the same time, also say, I don't want my daughter to be in porno videos on OnlyFans. I don't want that for her. I want something better for her. I want her to be a contributing member to society, to have a better life, and to not sell her literal flesh for the price of a cheeseburger. I don't want that for my kid. And that's where a lot of these people head to. Even with Teen Mom, I forget the girl's name. She went and did porn and everything else. A lot of them do that because they have no value, no self-worth, because it's all tied up in what people on the internet think about them and the money that they made and the clout that they gained from it all. That's honestly, that's not even snarky. That should break everybody's heart. That this is where we are as a society right now. That if you were to say OnlyFans girls, I wish you didn't do that, and you would get roasted online, you get canceled for saying all that stuff. How dare you? I can't believe that I can't believe the amount of pushback you get for saying something like, I wouldn't want my daughter to be a porn star. That's where we are right now.
Where we would take turns talking, and people were speculating in the comments, being like, oh my god, did you see Cameron's face when so-and-so said that? Like, you can so tell she does not like her. As well as people noticing, why wasn't this person in the video? Why wasn't that person in the video? I think every single one of us left that trip feeling really shitty about it. And
good.
There was so much.
That's because that's your life. You should feel really shitty about doing this shit.
Much drama in the group chat for weeks. A few of us even making sit-down videos after the fact, talking about the drama on the trip. It was a lot. And a month later, I was no longer friends with any of the girls I was originally friends with. The girls who...
Because you weren't really friends. Let's be real. None of these relationships you build with other YouTubers and things like that are real. Okay? Unless you it just can't be, especially because everything you do is about yourself. Here's another really, this is becoming a really sad video, but this is the sad part about being an influencer. You ask any influencer honestly, if you ever got a real honest answer about any big influencer, I guarantee you most of them would tell you they're lonely. Most of them would tell you that they have shitty lives. They don't have any real friends. They can't trust anybody because as soon as they trust someone, they will spill the tea on them, right? You can't have any real friends. And a lot of them will go to these nameless people at parasocial relationships. I love you, I'm part of the family, because they don't have anybody like that in their lives. Everybody becomes second to them. JessFam's a great example of this. Okay, JessFam has 0 friends anymore. 0. Talia, but we also are seeing inkling of like that shit's falling apart too. When you put your name on your living room wall, you are not a person that anybody wants to be around. That's the long and short of it. That's the psychology of all this. All these people you see in this picture right here are self-absorbed. Have you ever met somebody who's self-absorbed that has good friends? I mean, for real. Good friends. A ride or die. Do you know anybody like that? I know lots of people who are self-absorbed. They don't have any friends. Anybody I grew up with who was like that and they didn't grow out of that phase of their life, they are lonely now. Okay? I know I say this as a person here with 180,000 subscribers saying that I'm not influenced. I don't consider myself that type of person. And I have ride or dies. I'm not a narcissistic douchebag who thinks I'm the king shit. It's not how this works. A lot of people would say that, especially in my hate thread, but that's not the case. And that's why I have long-term friends since childhood that I still talk to this day. Okay, that's why I have ride or dies. I have many, many friends because I'm loyal and I'm trustworthy and I know I can trust them. None of these people can have that. And isn't that the saddest thing you've ever heard? That you can't have real relationships. And a lot of them will say on their deathbed, I wish I would have had real relationships. The money didn't matter. But it doesn't matter during the time. Money matters more to these people than anything. Fame matters more. But when they're older and wiser, they'll realize how shitty that was. But no one seems to want to listen.
Were bridesmaids at my wedding. That didn't have too much to do with the VidCon trip and was its own separate drama. Also, I want to note that at this time, we were all posting some crazy videos on our channels. Swapping babies with my teen mom friends, swapping husbands with my best friend, taking my baby to high school, turning my baby into a Visco girl, I'm pregnant with twins, vlogging my friend's birth. The clickbait was crazy.
Yeah, because it made you money. And thank you for being honest, Cam. This is why she is so important to this world. Because no one's going to tell you this shit.
Anything for views and not a thought behind it.
Yeah.
Some of the thumbnails and titles are so ridiculous. it cracks me up now looking back on it. And we were posting it in all seriousness.
Yep.
One of us would post a video, and a few weeks later, another teen mom would post the same video concept, and they'd be like, oh my god, she totally copied my idea. The whole thing was a fever dream.
That's YouTube in general. Everybody, especially if you see any viral TikToks, someone does a viral TikTok, then every single influencer does that exact same viral TikTok. Because most people don't, and you know what, the whole thing about influencer culture too is stealing culture. I don't know if you knew that. And the whole thing about being an influencer is that they steal content from people who make it. Most of the viral TikToks you see CamandFam do, or Abby Herbert, all these other people, they steal those from creators who just went viral with a video who nobody really knows about. Okay? And it's not, I mean, that is what it is, but they just make their own version of it. But they steal, none of them have original ideas. They steal their ideas. And that's kind of gross, but no one ever calls them out on it.
At this point in time, a lot of the teen moms, including myself, were popping out more babies. Like 18, 19 years old.
I would love to have, Cam has even said maybe she will come talk to me. I would love to have a really in-depth conversation on how this really went. Like when you were having a baby, when you knew you were pregnant, when you were trying to get pregnant, and you saw the piss stick that was pregnant. In your mind, were you like, yes, payday? Or was it like, yes, child? Or was it a little bit of both? Or was it a little bit more one way? You know what I mean? I think Cam would actually answer those questions honestly. And these are the kind of questions we all have, because we know how lucrative it is to have babies on the internet. And to hear it from one of them who did it would be really valuable.
Trying to have another baby on purpose. And we were accused of having another baby just for views. We obviously knew another pregnancy would give our channel a boost.
Yes.
But I don't think any of us brought a baby into this world just for that reason alone. I mean,
but could it be part of the reason?
We were all just trying to play into this fantasy that we had created for ourselves.
So she's contradicting herself a little bit here, and I think she'll appreciate me saying this. She's contradicting herself. We were playing into a fantasy, we were building into a brand, and having babies was part of that. So she can't dismiss that. We none of us were having babies just for that, but you have to admit to a degree that was part of the fantasy, right? You knew that when you did this, it would do that thing. So that definitely had a role to play in your decision making on having kids. That's what I'm saying. You got to be real and honest about that.
Trying to craft this perfect family image. And what does a perfect family have? Siblings. There was a lot of conversation about glamorizing teen pregnancy. And honestly, when you're making a decent income at such a young age, simply from posting videos, it was glamorous. Imagine being a teen mom, working a minimum wage job, trying to finish high school and take care of your baby, and then you see that shit on YouTube. This group of young moms, and they're all friends, and they're going on trips together.
And not working,
It's not realistic. Yeah, we faced similar struggles and got a lot of the judgments that any teen mom gets, but I think most of us were in rather privileged situations.
There it is. And it's something I don't often talk about because I have the ability to say, you know, I worked my entire life to get to where I am and I earned everything I have. And I often say that these people didn't. They just got lucky. And that's true. That's just true. But also you have to take into consideration that wouldn't you do it? If you were a single mom and the only way to get by to feed your child was to exploit them on the internet, and you knew it would make you good money and you wouldn't have to work and your kid would have everything they needed, would you do it? And I never had to go through that, but as a kid who grew up super poor and understood what that world is like, I can understand why they do it. Okay? But knowing what I know now, of course I wouldn't. But these people didn't know that. They didn't, but they know now. That's the thing. Cam knows now, and she doesn't put her kids on the internet. Maddie, what's her face? Maddie does. Van Clan does. They know all this shit, but they still do it. Right? The choice is made after you've made all your millions. Why do you continue to do it? Knowing it's still dangerous. And so that's a conversation. I mean, I think, and it's almost like you can't really blame them. You know what I'm saying? And that's the rub. That's the rock in the hard place. Because their kids did get a better life, quote unquote, meaning they weren't, because growing up in poverty, I promise you, is one of the hardest things you could put a human through. Poverty often, and people who grow up and people who are in poverty generally, not all the time, but generally because they've made bad decisions with their life. They have generational trauma that they haven't been able to break, and they just don't make good choices. That's it. And so a lot of that comes with abuse too, and they were often abused. Poverty is very cyclical. If you can't get out of poverty, if you don't get out of poverty early, if you don't get out of that mindset early, you will suffer the consequence of poverty probably the rest of your life too, right? That's generational curse. That's generational trauma. That's all part of it. And so I ask you that because I'm asking in the comments, would you do it? If you were a single mom and the only way to do it would to do this, would you do it? And I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't cast doubt on you. I wouldn't cast shade on you. I'm just saying I sort of understand. Right? That's the rub.
And we 100% glamorized teen pregnancy.
Yeah, you did.
It wasn't
Thank you for admitting
intentional. I think we all just wanted to be told we're doing a good job. We wanted the praise of people telling us, look how well you're handling motherhood at your age. Especially because when we first got pregnant, we were told, like any teen mom, that we wouldn't be adequate mothers.
And that's kind of switched. If you go look at anybody all these young parents who are on TikTok saying I'm pregnant, read the comments. Now, I know they're probably sifted through and they're probably sorted and deleted a lot of it, but the one main comment you'll see all the time is, you're going to be such a great mom. They all say, in some variation, they'll say this. But they're never great moms, everybody. Most of the time, they're shitty because they are negligent, because they are narcissistic douchebags. Most of them. Okay, I'm saying most of them. And so when you see these comments, you've seen it change. Now, I know they do get some negative comments. Of course that happens, right? But you do see that change. And when you hear one negative comment, it absolutely so put it this way. You can have 1,000 positive comments on your channel and gloss over them, but that one negative comment you scrolled by has the same impact as 1,000 positive comments. And that's how it hits your brain. That's every human being is that way. And so when they get those comments, they just forget about all the good stuff. Right? And that can't be good for your mental health either. And they get tons of negative comments. And deservedly so, half the time.
We had something to prove. And so because our public image was in our control, we curated a perfect, polished family image. And so we couldn't act like the kids that we were, especially for the whole internet to see. And I think the pressure of it all was such a unique pain that only we could relate on. When we were together, we could take a break from acting like we had it all together.
There you go. And you think that's healthy? You think that's healthy? And you know what's so scary about what she just said there is that the kids, they don't really understand that. They don't get that we're taking a break from being these parents on TV and everything else. The kids can't understand that. And that is really bad for kids. They see their parents as two different types of people when the camera's on and when the camera's off. That can be traumatizing for children. It's so confusing, and it's just not a good way to raise kids. There is no structure there. That is bad, is what I'm telling you.
At the end of the day, we were just a bunch of teenagers who ended up pregnant. Most of us coming from families with generational trauma and pain. And we were trying to do everything we could to provide a life for our children. That's the saddest part about all of it. Mm-hmm. The children were at the center of this.
Boom!
At times, they were tossed around like props or used as accessories. They had millions of eyes on them.
Preach it!
No awareness of what that even means.
Damn!
And I think we were too young to even think about it that way. Just like most teenagers, we weren't thinking ahead. We were just doing what we thought we had to do.
Now, if you were to say that exact same, like most teenagers, we don't know what we were thinking. I think all of us as adults can say when we look back on our teenagers and said, holy shit, I was dumb. I did some stupid shit. Some people, like Kathy, she didn't do any dumb shit when she was a teenager. She lived a life of like absolute Care Bears and rainbows. Kathy didn't do anything stupid, I don't think. Not that I've asked her. And nope, she was a grade A. She was like straight A's. Full on singing in school, singing in a choir, going to church, everything else. She didn't have none of that shit. Her parents were she lived the most vanilla life, which is like, I wish that for everybody, to be honest with you. But look at that for a second. What she just said there is so important. This is the conversation we're having today about a lot of things too, right? Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Puberty blockers, HRT, everything else. Okay, tattoos and everything. You should let a kid be a parent. That's a life-changing event. It's not a good thing. It's not positive. Same thing with allowing all these kids to make all these crazy choices that are going to destroy their futures, right? What she said right there, you could apply that to a lot of things. That's why we don't let kids drink. get tattoos, drive until they're at least 16, right? Vote. There's a lot of things you can't do until you're basically an adult, where right now we're allowing kids to make really, really crazy decisions like have babies and stop puberty and do all these crazy things that they're so bad. Now, a baby generally for teenagers is accidental, but if you're not building that into your children, like their worth and value, and she said it there too, generational trauma plays a huge role into a lot of teen pregnancies. Not every single one of them, but it's a big deal. When a girl and a boy are out there doing things as teenagers when they're not supposed to be doing that shit, where do they learn that stuff? Where are they getting that from? Because their value is tied up in places it shouldn't be because they have shitty parents who didn't tell them their value and their worth. I said what I said.
We all got this same comment and rolled our eyes at it, but we really were babies having babies. As the generation before us, we all eventually aged out of teen parenthood. The youngest, Maddie Lambert, just turned 20 this year.
Wow.
Meanwhile, the family vlogging genre on YouTube became oversaturated and overplayed. Controversies involving larger family channels brought forth a very important question. Is it ethical to monetize children?
Boom! There's the question. Make that into a meme or whatever. Is it ethical to monetize children? We know it's not. I mean, my whole channel is about how unethical it is, how immoral it is, how wrong it is, how dangerous it is. Right? It is not ethical, but no one gives a shit. And the platforms who allow this to happen, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everybody else, they know it's not ethical. Do you think those people who sit in those boardrooms who allow content creation like this, do you think they sit in there and be like, yeah, we love the fact that children are being exploited on channels? Everybody with a human heart and a soul understands that everything that these people do is wrong. Everybody knows it, including the people who do it. Right? Most fans don't know it's not, but everybody who understands how social media is consumed and created knows what they're doing is wrong. And that should speak volumes because they allow it in spades and they make billions of dollars off of it. The dollar matters more, always has.
A lot of the audience was rightfully put off from engaging with this type of content, and a large portion of audiences aged out of watching it simply because they weren't kids anymore. Most family channels were on the family-friendly side, of course, and so that's the audience they attracted. For these reasons, as well as shortened attention spans due to the rise of short-term content on other platforms, the family vlogging scene on YouTube is not what it once was. So what happened to us teen mom YouTubers in the aftermath? Some of them continued doing what they've been doing, posting the same type of content. Some went back to school and got an education.
Some created porn.
Some started selling explicit content on other platforms. There's been more babies born, marriage, divorce, custody battles, loss, and heartbreak. I think life humbled us all in different ways. We were forced to grow up and face the reality of what it really means to have kids at such a young age.
And not have the internet to pay for all your bills and get real jobs and get into the real world. She's saying it again. One of the most important things she's saying right now is a lot of these kids and parents and kids who want to grow up on YouTube, when all that shit collapses, because it eventually will, right? You're not going to be famous forever. It's very, very rare that you find a YouTuber with longevity like Mr. Beast or whatever, right? It ebbs and flows and it crashes and burns eventually. And none of these kids have any discernible real life experience when all they've done is film them going to the damn zoo or Disney or going to the Target. Okay, a lot of them didn't go to school. A lot of them didn't finish high school. A lot of them have zero understanding of the real world because they never lived in it. They never had to, which is fine. But that's dangerous. And that's a failure of their parents as well. And that's what they're going to teach their kids. They don't know the real world. And when they get out into the real world, they fall down and they fall apart and their kids suffer.
Most of us, the glass was shattered. And speaking for myself, it was somewhat of a relief. The pressure was lifted, the ego dissolved, and the healing could finally begin.
So Cam is, this is why, again, I respect her a lot, is the only person that will really admit this. She'll be the one, we were humbled. She was humbled, And she learned from it. She grew up out of this shit. She's going to be a very successful adult. I'll tell you that much, okay? The other ones didn't. CamandFam, Maddie, none of them were humble. They didn't understand the humility. None of them have humility. So it really just goes to show that maturity and aging does help, right? But still, some of them are pretty young and still haven't even got to the point of 25 years old is when your prefrontal cortex is fully developed, right? When that happens, shit does change. When you turn 25, get into your 30s, everything changes. Everything does. Most people should anyway. If you don't, then you got problems. But I was someone completely different too before I was 25. And after 25, I was someone completely different. I got married when I was 27. And even to this past decade, I've completely changed who I am. Completely changed to try to be a better person in every single way. When I see a weakness in myself, I want to change it so I can be better. Right? Not a lot of people can admit something like that. We all have our weaknesses. And if you're not willing to admit what they are, you're never going to get better. And none of these people want to admit what they're doing is wrong. Then they'd have to face the music. That it was very bad and dangerous and disgusting for what they did to their children. And that's why when someone like Cam does a video like this, we got to give her a high five and props. Because that is the shit you don't get to see. And you should see. Really, really important video. So, cool. That's a good video for Friday. Hope you guys are feeling good. Take a deep breath. I hope you guys are ice bathing. It's pretty sweet. Not gonna lie. I love it. Thank you for being here, guys. And make sure you go subscribe to CamandFam and make sure you watch her video. Give her a review. Thumbs up on her page. Subscribe. Hit the bell on hers too and mine. Make sure you guys hit that bell. I don't tell anybody enough, but I should. Hit the bell. I'd appreciate it. Really, really would. And I appreciate you guys for being here because you're amazing and valuable and just damn gorgeous. You're just high. Right? Do you know how awesome you are? And if you don't, know it, because you are. All right? I will see you tomorrow.